The air was thick with tension as the heavy thunderstorm clouds rolled over the small town of Oak Ridge, a sleepy, rural place where nothing much ever happened. People would joke that Oak Ridge was the kind of place where you could leave your front door open all night and still feel safe. It was peaceful, quiet, the kind of town where everyone knew everyone, and the biggest worry was the occasional squirrel in your attic or a cow straying onto the road. But one cold autumn night, something happened that would make even the bravest souls shiver with fear. This is a story I never thought I'd tell, but here I am unable to forget and compelled to share it with the world. There are two stories, in fact. Stories that have haunted me for years and still, to this day, make my skin crawl. It all began on a crisp November evening. I had been invited by a friend, Lucas, to his family's cabin in the woods for a weekend getaway. You know, one of those invitations you get from time to time, a little break from the busy work week, a chance to unplug and breathe in the fresh, pine-scented air. I was excited for a few days of peace and relaxation. Lucas' family's cabin was tucked away in the woods on a private road, a few miles from the nearest town. The route to the cabin was isolated, with the only light being the occasional flicker from a farmhouse far off in the distance. But the stillness was part of the charm. There were no distractions. It was a chance to be alone with your thoughts, or so I thought. I arrived at the cabin just as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of purple and orange. Lucas was already there, setting up the fire pit outside. We shared a few drinks and laughed as the fire crackled, the warmth of the flames comforting against the evening chill. The night was young, the stars already beginning to sparkle above us. Yet, despite the beauty of it all, something didn't feel right. Maybe it was the eerie silence of the woods, or the fact that the cabin felt a little too secluded for comfort. Either way, my instincts were alert. We went inside, the flickering light of the fire casting long shadows across the walls. The wooden beams creaked, settling as the temperature dropped. Lucas started telling me about the history of the cabin, a family heirloom that had been passed down for generations. He mentioned a few odd things like how his great-grandfather had been a bit of a recluse and had apparently seen strange figures in the woods around the cabin. At the time, I thought nothing of it. Old family tales, right? But the way Lucas spoke of them, with a sort of distant sadness in his eyes, made me wonder if there was more to it than just a wild imagination. As the evening wore on, I started to feel more and more uneasy. The wind had picked up outside, howling through the trees. The firelight danced in the windows, casting unsettling shadows that seemed to move when I wasn't looking. I told myself it was just my mind playing tricks on me. I was tired, and perhaps the alcohol had loosened my grip on reality. But something in the air was changing, something I couldn't explain. That's when I heard it. A soft thud at the door, followed by a scratching sound, as if something was trying to claw its way inside. I froze. Lucas, who was on the couch with his phone, didn't seem to hear it. I was sure of it. There was something outside. My heart pounded in my chest as the scratching continued, growing louder. It sounded like nails on wood, like something desperately trying to get in. I stood up, walking slowly towards the door. I checked the locks, making sure everything was secure, though I wasn't sure why I felt the need to do so. The door was locked, and yet the scratching didn't stop. It was only when I heard a low whisper from the other side of the door that I knew something was horribly wrong. "I know you're in there," the voice said. It was soft, almost a whisper, but I could hear the desperation in it. "Please, let me in." I turned to Lucas, but he was still on his phone, seemingly oblivious to the fear creeping up my spine. I approached the door slowly, the hairs on the back of my neck standing on end. The voice spoke again, this time clearer. "Let me in. I'm lost. Please, I'm so scared." There was no mistaking it now. This wasn't just some prank. Whoever was outside, Whoever was whispering in that chilling tone was not in their right mind. It wasn't human. It couldn't be. With trembling hands, I grabbed the nearest object I could find, a large flashlight, and turned it on. I crept toward the door, cautiously peeking through the small crack in the curtains. Outside, the woods were thick with shadows, but I couldn't see anyone standing there. The only thing that met my gaze was the eerie emptiness of the trees stretching endlessly into the night. The scratching had stopped. I wasn't sure whether to open the door or not. My gut screamed at me to stay inside, to lock all the windows and doors, but my curiosity got the better of me. Slowly, I unlatched the door. I was about to step outside when Lucas finally turned around, noticing my fear. "What's wrong?" he asked, his voice full of confusion. I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I just stared at him, my mind racing. Could I trust him? Was he hiding something? The cabin seemed safe, but my instincts screamed that I was wrong. "I don't know," I said finally. "Something's not right." Just then, the air grew colder, and the wind outside picked up again, howling like a wolf. We both stood there for a moment, listening to the wind, but then the scratching started again. This time louder, closer. "I'm not going out there," Lucas said. But the voice continued, pleading, begging for someone to open the door. The next few moments were a blur. We both rushed to lock the door and huddled in the living room, holding onto each other for support. I could hear footsteps now, faint and slow, approaching the cabin. The whispers grew louder, as if the person outside was growing desperate. "Please, please, I need help." Lucas grabbed his phone, dialed 911, but the line was dead. The cabin had no cell service, and there was no landline. We were truly isolated, stranded in the middle of nowhere with whatever or whoever was out there. The door rattled, then banged once, twice, then stopped. A silence followed, but not a peaceful one. The air felt thick, suffocating, as though something was watching us. We stayed inside for what felt like hours. Time seemed to stand still. The whispers stopped, but the fear didn't. I kept staring at the door, waiting for it to open, waiting for something to break in ... By morning. The door was still locked, and the scratching had stopped. We left the cabin at first light, neither of us daring to look back. I'll never know what was out there that night, whether it was human or something else entirely. All I know is that I'll never return to that cabin again. We stayed inside for what felt like hours. Time seemed to stand still. The whispers stopped, but the fear didn't. I kept staring at the door, waiting for it to open, waiting for something to break in ... By morning. The door was still locked, and the scratching had stopped. We left the cabin at first light, neither of us daring to look back. I'll never know what was out there that night, whether it was human or something else entirely. All I know is that I'll never return to that cabin again. At first, I didn't think much of it, but as I neared the town, something felt off. The air was unnaturally still, as though the world around me had stopped breathing. I pulled into a gas station to fill up, hoping for some human contact, even if it was just a quick chat with the clerk. But the place was empty. The door was unlocked, and the lights were dim. It was almost as if the station had been abandoned. I filled up and left quickly, eager to get to my destination. But as I pulled out, I saw something that made my heart stop. A figure in the distance, standing by the road, looking directly at me. A woman dressed in a white gown, her long hair blowing in the wind. She was barefoot, standing motionless in the middle of nowhere. I didn't stop. I didn't even slow down. But as I drove past, I caught a glimpse of her face, pale, twisted, almost inhuman. The realization hit me like a freight train. This was the same thing I had seen before. The woman from the cabin, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. But I knew one thing. I wasn't going to stick around to find out ... As I sped away, I could hear the wind picking up again, howling through the trees, carrying with it the faint sound of whispers. I see you, the voice echoed, and once again, the darkness had claimed me. As chilling and unsettling as these experiences were, they carry with them an undeniable lesson, one that resonates far beyond the realm of the supernatural. It's a reminder that sometimes the unknown isn't something we can control or fully comprehend. It's the eerie, inexplicable moments that often teach us the most about our own courage, instincts, and the power of staying vigilant in the face of fear. These stories, though terrifying, highlight the importance of trusting your gut, listening to those quiet warnings in the back of your mind, and never ignoring the feelings that something isn't quite right. Fear can paralyze us, but it can also be a driving force that pushes us to take action, to protect ourselves and those we love. And though we may not always find answers to the mysteries that haunt us, it's the journey and the survival that matter most. If you found these stories gripping, unsettling, and thought-provoking, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Your support means everything and motivates us to bring you more spine-chilling, real-life tales. Stay tuned, because there are many more stories yet to be uncovered, and we'd love for you to join us on this eerie journey. Until next time, stay safe and trust your instincts.